Hello and welcome back to another video. So this week I'm talking about my collection for the Nintendo Entertainment System, which is very exciting. And the next week I'm going to follow this up with a Super Nintendo video. So we're going to be looking at both of my collections for these two particular systems over the next couple of weeks, because I thought it'd be kind of fun. This was largely prompted by this arriving in the post, which is the World Championships NES edition, which is extremely cool. It's extremely cool. So this is a little, well, this is a little collection of different Nintendo NES games. So things like Kirby, Mario, I think even Kid Icarus and Excite Bike are in here, which is very cool. I'm meaning to pick those up. At the moment, my major focus is on Ice Climbers. I want Ice Climbers. But I figured I'd talk a little bit about this before I got into the NES collection itself. I bought this a couple months ago, pre-ordered it, it arrived last week, which was very exciting. And it had this in it, which is a golden NES cartridge with the... It's literally just for display. It's just for display. It unfortunately doesn't play, which is a bit lame. It would have been nice if there'd been like a version of this on there. That would have been kind of cool. Nintendo's first NES cartridge in goodness knows how long. But unfortunately, that's not the case. But yeah, I haven't been the largest NES fan. I haven't been the largest NES fan. I do have the... Where is it? I believe that's the Polymega version. Yeah, I do have the Polymega NES slot, and as a result, I've kind of been gathering a few games to just kind of play. Admittedly, the bulk of these are just ones that I picked up because they were there, and they were cheap. There's at least a couple in here, though, that I picked up very expressly because I desperately wanted them. So, we'll start with Isolated Warrior. This is a kind of isometric sort of game. It looked pretty good, to be fair. 1985. So this is from the year of the NES's launch, which is quite exciting. Or at least the launch in America. Over here, I think it launched around the same time. So this actually predates even The Legend of Zelda by a year, which is absolutely wacky. But, yeah. You know, I'm quite a big fan of random little things. Random little side games for different consoles. And this caught my eye. And I dropped it. Hopefully it still works. That'd be great. Then again, the well of Nintendium had dried out by this point, which is good. Don't fall over. I'm grabbing an example. So, grab that. Fairly standard stuff. Then I decided to grab the first major console game that Nintendo ever made. Donkey Kong. They re-released Donkey Kong and Donkey Kong Jr. as a multi-pack on the NES. Now, I have the original Donkey Kong with the Nintendo logo on it on an Atari system back in 1981, which is a big deal. That is a big deal. I would argue that the Atari version is probably the worst version to play from that era. If you want to play classic Donkey Kong on a classic system, play it on the ColecoVision. I mean, it's just easier. I haven't got a ColecoVision. I'm in the process of maybe contemplating getting one. I've got a couple consoles from that era. Like, I had the Interton. I got rid of it because it didn't work, and I've obviously got the Vectrex, which is very nice. But yeah, I figured this would be a pretty cool thing to own on, you know, Nintendo's first home console with cartridges. I know they had the TV Play or something like that back in the late 70s. That was their first foray into video games in that respect. But yeah, here we are. Battle for Atlantis, yeah. Battle for Olympus. I'm gonna be honest with you, I know very little about this. Very little. It just sounded cool. The game cartridge sounded cool, and it was like, I think it was a $5, so I grabbed it. Haven't played it yet. Have played Donkey Kong. I have played most of these. I've played most of them. Sometimes not in the way they were intended, but I have played them. Operation Wolf. Now, this is Taito. I think it's kind of a light gun game. I could be horribly wrong on that respect, but Operation Wolf came back recently, which is really weird. Of all the things to come back, wasn't expecting Operation Wolf. So as a result, I was like, this is in my local game shop. It's only £2. I'm gonna grab it. Yeah, I mean, I haven't got the Operation Wolf, which is probably quite telling, but I've got it on NES. That's kind of where it was mostly popular to own. So yeah, I figured not a bad shout, not a bad place to grab a game that's, you know, pretty classic. Speaking of pretty classic, a classic double pack. We have Super Mario Bros, which is very exciting. Don't have Super Mario Bros 2, which is ridiculous. Can't believe I don't have that. They've got Hogan's Alley in town, and I've been kind of staring at that for the last couple of weeks as well, going, do I get Hogan's Alley? Because it's boxed, and it's like £50, which is a lot of money. This was like 12. Duck Hunt's a classic NES game. It's not something you will see nowadays. You don't get games about hunting ducks on more modern consoles, because that just seems a bit harsh. So the dog is an asshole. I did buy a NES Zapper. I did buy an NES Zapper for that game specifically, and obviously you've got the original Super Mario Bros. On there. Pretty good deal for the two. To be fair, pretty good deal. Very exciting. Quite excited to play it. I have played it a bit. I'm excited to play it again. Okay, probably the most egregious example of damage I have for an NES game, and that's this very bad copy of Super Mario Bros. 3. Now, I think The Wizard... There's a movie called The Wizard. So The Wizard is about this. I think the kid's autistic. I think he's autistic, and he's traveling across America because he wants to go to this big Nintendo event, and his brother's been dragged along in the process. That's where you get, I can't remember his name. I think it's Sebastian or something like that. This kid who's like, I love the Power Glove. He's got the NES Power Glove, which is this awful attempt at motion controls 20 years before they were actually viable. And he goes, it's so bad. And it is. It's garbage. But, that movie was basically a giant advertisement for this game. This is where you would have first seen it. This is where they first went, oh yes, it's a brand new Mario game. It's the third Mario game, and it looks amazing. And it graphically pushes the NES in ways that it hadn't really been pushed up until that point. I mean, if you compare the two, there's not really much in it. I do need to pick up the original Super Mario Bros. Though. And the Zelda games. But I haven't, because I'm a huge Zelda fan. Shocking. Oh, terrible. How devastating. But this game's pretty good. I like it more than 2. Quite a lot more than 2, actually. I've played a fair amount of it, maybe a couple of hours, which for me on an NES game is not too bad, in comparison to some of the other games I do have for the system. Okay, yeah, not terrible. This isn't a huge collection. It's not a huge collection because the NES is not something I've particularly delved into collecting for too much. I did debate on buying A Boy and His Blob the other week because it was there and it was boxed. And I was like, it's like £25 though for a game that I won't play. I saw it on the Wii. They had a version on the Wii that I've also been debating on getting for about 15 years, and I just haven't got round to it because I don't play the Wii either. Shocking. You can tell when I don't play these consoles too much. Largely because I have random tat like Jack Nicklaus, greatest 18 holes of major championship golf. It's a golf game. I don't like golf. But at least of the 16-bit consoles, or at least 16-bit libraries I have at least one sports game in there that I would never normally buy. So for this, it's Jack Nicklaus Golf. For the Mega Drive, no, not the Mega Drive. For the Master System, it's also Golf. It's Golf Mania. And for the PC Engine, it's Breakin', which is a pool game. Or alternatively, it's also Digital Champ, which is a boxing game, which is very weird. Not something I'd normally buy, but here we are. I've only got 4 games for that system. I'm meaning to get more, but they're expensive. Yeah, don't know why I own that. I like owning a crappy sports game on various systems of some degree. I mean, if you count that, if you count the 360, it would 100% be that Sonic Riders game on the Kinect. Garbage, absolute garbage. I'd say on there it's probably Death Row. Probably a few golf games in there as well. I've got a surprising number of golf games, and I hate golf. So yeah. Okay, moving on. I have 3 boxed games for the NES. 3 which, you know, I don't have anything major. I don't have anything major for this console yet, but I thought I'd just kind of share what I have. Dr. Mario, in a very bad box. Great. But this was like £5, and you know, I really like Dr. Mario. I played quite a bit of Dr. Luigi on the Wii U back during the year of Luigi, where he got a grand total of 2 games, and they were both knockoffs of Mario ones. I'm sure that was exciting for him, and not a new Luigi's Mansion. Thank you for that. It took us like 2 years to get like another decent Luigi's Mansion. That was Luigi's Mansion 3, which I do enjoy. It wasn't even that long. I think it was like a decade. it was nearly 10 years to get a decent Luigi game. And that was Luigi's Mansion 3. They have obviously released Luigi's Mansion 2 in the meantime, but on the Switch, which I haven't played yet. Dr. Mario, though. Yeah, fairly bog standard puzzle game, to be perfectly honest with you. About as fun now as it's always been. Heartily recommend. I don't know if the manual's in there, actually. Probably isn't. Nope, just the cartridge in the sleeve, which is very cool. I was glad that was in the sleeve. If there are any if there are any NES games that you think I should play, let me know. I've got another 3 to go through. Marble Madness. Yeah, this was Milton Bradley, who, if you didn't know, did the Vectrex. The Vectrex. I've even got a Milton Bradley sleeve for it, which was like 15 quid, which isn't too bad. But yeah, Milton Bradley released the Vectrex. They moved out of the console market because they were like, the Vectrex didn't do very well. That's because it's very expensive to produce what is essentially an LED. Sorry, an LCD. No? A cathode. Classic old school monitor on a console. So instead, we're just gonna publish some games. We're just gonna publish Marble Madness, and you know what? This game's pretty good. It's actually probably one of the most fun on the system. I think it has 2-player. 1988. I was 5 years away at that point. I was 5 years away in 1988. Is this 2-player? It should be. If it isn't, that's ridiculous. But yeah, Marble Madness, pretty classic one. Yeah, that series has come and gone, sort of. Or the concept of rolling a marble down something has come and gone over the years. Okay, this one's basically a sort of Breakout clone, because it's called Crackout. Yeah, this one, I'll freely admit, I got this for one purpose, and that's because it was in this plastic sleeve. Now these, ignoring the fact that it's cracked, which is kind of lame, these would hang up on racks. in your local toy store like Toys R Us, or it would hang up in your local game shop, and it would just hang like that, and you take it down, crack it open, away you go. This is still in it, which is very cool, and I'm very on board with. I mean, yeah, I have played this. My sister got me this a couple years ago, I think. She got me this a couple years ago, and it's very cool. It is very cool. It's very cool to own. The game's pretty good, and it's in really good nick, so, you know, not too bad. That's it for boxed NES games. Can you tell? Can you tell I don't buy that many? But that's okay. They're expensive. The final game is one I had been kind of looking for a long time. So originally I was going to get this for my friend for Christmas last year. Didn't arrive. Didn't arrive in time, so I had to buy him something else. So I was like, dang it. Then it arrived like a week, like 2 days before Christmas. So I'm like, I can't give it to him now. I'm already giving him something. So I kept it for myself. And that is the Clash Demon Head. This is a very cool side-scrolling platformer. But my major reason for getting it is I'm a huge fan, massive fan of Scott Pilgrim. Scott Pilgrim Saves the World. And the band in that isn't Sex Bob-omb, which is obviously named after Mario, or at least the Mario Bob-ombs, is called Clash Demon Head. And I loved that name. I loved the music associated with that in the movie. And then I found out it was an NES game. So the guy named that band after a game he played in his youth, which I had to grab that, man. I bought it for my friend because he's also a massive fan of Scott Pilgrim. And I went, yeah, you know, great, fantastic. Yeah, oh no. It hasn't arrived in time. I guess I'll keep it for myself. So I did. He got his own copy eventually. I did buy that for him a couple months after the fact for his birthday, so hopefully he was happy with that. That would be nice. But yeah, you know, I really like Scott Pilgrim, and had to own it. But the game's really good as well. Like, it has aged surprisingly well. And I'm not a big side-scrolling platformer guy. I'm not a big 8-bit guy either. I'm not a huge lover of the 8-bit series, nor am I. Or games. I'm not a huge fan of 8-bit games. I'm not a huge fan of 16-bit games either. Give me something that's weird and ugly, like a weird 5th gen game, over anything from the SNES or Mega Drive. But here we are. Yeah, that's it. That's my NES collection. It's not huge. I do have a Rob amiibo. My friend, who I also bought Clash of Demon Head for, has an actual, honest-to-goodness European Rob, which I am insanely jealous about, and I'm not happy that he has it. It's not fair. I will get it one day, or I will get one day, we'll see. It's on my list. They're quite expensive. They're like 200 quid for something I won't use. So, yeah. That's that. That is that. That is the collective NES library. If you have any games that you think I would enjoy or think that I would be interested in, I have my eye on Mule. That looks very weird and very interesting. Basically, if it's not a side-scrolling platformer and it's doing something very particularly interesting, I want to know about it. I do. I want to know about it. But anyways, guys, that is me signing off for another week. Next week, we'll be looking at my SNES collection, which there's more of. No box, though, which is fine. But it's full of the kind of weird shit that you'd expect me to own, considering my favourite game is about a roadie playing heavy metal music. And I will be doing a follow-up Brutal Legend video in August. Good. Anyways, guys, that is me signing off.